distorted in all the guitars. Hey guys, what's going on? Kesley here, and today I want to kind of break down a mix and master that I did for a band named When in May. And I want to break down the song that I did for them, Dynamics in the Morning. To kind of get started on it, for our groups, we have our guitars, and I subgrouped kind of the guitars that went together, but I all threw them into one big guitar bus. So that way they're kind of processed the same. So that way we kind of get the same tone. They're cohesive, but then in those subgroups, I went ahead and started processing them, whether it's individually and also on the groups for those as well. So we have our guitars, we have our bass, our drum group here, which normally we stem out our drums, but for this song, because they record all their stuff themselves, they went ahead and sent me just the full printout of just the drums. And then for our instrument group, we have a pad and piano, which is I kind of separate from guitars depending on what vision we're painting for the song. So let me play you a little clip of the song. So to kind of first touch, because there's no vocals in this song, and a lot of the main element, if not the entire main element for the song, are the guitars. We wanted the drums to be very punchy, be in your face. It kind of helped anchor the song a little bit better. The bass was also really, really clean. A lot of the instruments that they sent to me, if not all of them, were really clean as it is. So I'll show you on how kind of more of a minimalistic kind of take on this song worked out. But for the drums to kind of touch on what I was talking about, and because it's just one full drum stem, first we got an EQ, literally just doing some mid-side expansion on the kick. And that way we get a little bit more of that low end punch, a little bit more of that like warmth kind of oomph in the mids for the kick. Then I use the SSL drum strip to kind of bring it together a little bit more. I absolutely love this. It's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, so if I turn it off, and then what I did is I use a Neutron 5 transient shaper. Wanted a little bit more attack, a little bit more just kind of sharpness on the transients to kind of push through a little bit. So without it, also went ahead and on the mid range, which is running from 139 hertz up to 1.9K. And it's going to be pretty much emphasizing more of where the snare and a little bit more of like those mid highs are going to be. The other thing too is always help the artist or whoever you're collaborating with to paint their vision. If they are happy where it's at, you just got to kind of push it and help create that vision. So we wanted a snappy snare. We wanted like definitely kind of a thuddy kind of heavy low end kick. So then if we jump into the guitars, I'll show you everything on the guitars. So I'll solo the guitars. And one thing you'll notice too as I go through is I have a utility on pretty much every group just for gain staging as I go. Um, I'll of course go ahead and use the channel faders as well, but on every group I kind of like just the gain stage everything, give myself some more headroom to work in. I can kind of push stuff a little bit better. So that's something you might notice as well. So first is the virtual channel. Give some console warmth. Next is a Pro Q3 on the whole group. And I'm just rolling off on the very low end. I still wanted to preserve a lot of the low end like naturally in some of the guitars. Some of the guitars I low cut a lot, but some of them I wanted kind of that bottom end to kind of shine and push through and give some body to the track, especially because there's no vocals as well. After that, another virtual mix rack. We're using the FG401 as our main compressor. And it's not even being pushed. It's kind of to just contain everything, bring it down. And without it. Then we got the FGS for some EQ. We're doing 1.5 dB around 10K, sorry, 8K. And then for the low mids, we got 1.5 dB, and we're doing that around 573 hertz for some more just warmth in the low mids. And then I'm using Revival, kind of give it some more body. And then after that, the final thing is Fresh Air. I'm a big fan of Fresh Air. Use it where you need it. I'm a big fan of it on guitars and also on vocals as well. But this is without it. Just gives a little bit more life to it. So then if we go down, there's a solo section here. And it's being run through the processing that's on the whole group. And then literally on the channel itself, just an EQ. I had this Pan Man because I was trying to do an effect on it, but it just didn't make the cut. So that's turned off. And then I have a Soothe 2, and I'm just kind of, rounding out those high mids a little bit more. Underneath that, with the solo section, is this distorted group. And then I'll show you the processing. So we wanted them heavy. But because there's so many layers, we had to do it kind of carefully. So on the entire distorted group, I have a decapitator to give some distortion. Let me go ahead and turn these off. So this is without the decapitator. So bringing it to the forefront more, and I just have it on the BVG preset. Then we got Pro Q3. Rounding out the low end and some of the mids as well. Without it. Just kind of rounds it out. There's a lot of, especially because the layers are so heavily distorted. So it kind of just helps it kind of tame the low end and the low mids a little bit more. So that way they kind of fit the space a little bit, because we still have the other guitars and we have the piano going as well. And the bass, of course, which I'll dive into. After that, we have Fresh Air. Giving it a little bit of life. Then under that, these are ungrouped. They're just in the guitar group. And I'll just play these three real quick. So then all together with the distorted and all the guitars. So that's with the guitars together with the drums. Dive into the bass real quick. Utility on the group. I kind of just group everything. It's easier to navigate even if there's just one track. And then just a utility for gain staging. And then on the actual bass, we have a Pro Q3, just kind of, raising the low mids a little bit more so the mids around 463 hertz. Very, very subtle, but I thought it kind of just helped bring the mids out just a tad bit in the bass. After that, then I'm just using the Slate Infinity bass on deep mode. And here's the exact settings that I have for it. This is doing pretty much all the lifting for the bass. So that's without it. And the drums, like I said, we have just the full drum stem and then the room reverb. So I pretty much cut a lot of the lows, rounded them out, and then this kilohertz stereo, I just used it to kind of see how wide the track is. It's not doing anything at all. So for the instruments, on the group, I have a Saturn, if I remember. Yeah. So I'm just pretty much just saturating and warming the mids just a little bit. 394 hertz up to 2100 hertz. After that, just a low cut up to 116 hertz, just using the stock EQ. Utility to gain stage. These are kind of sitting more in the background a little bit because the guitars are pretty much the main element for the whole song. And then Down here, these are just kind of swooshes and some effects. So that kind of takes into the next section. So the song is a journey. It's definitely a journey. Like I'll jump real quick. So like say from the beginning. And then kind of like coming into this part here. Definitely like in your face, especially with the drums and just how many elements of guitars there are. You really kind of have to like find the right space for each one. So you can see a lot of the guitars are panned. This one is panned like 20 to the right. This one's 8 to the left. This is hard panned. This one is almost pretty much hard pan. So everything's kind of got a space, and sometimes I'll use the ML distance as well. So this kind of just places stuff. I kind of like it using better than like just panning. This will kind of like place it in specific spots in the stereo field. So especially with like indie rock or if I'm doing folk, I would do that a lot because it kind of just gives more of a live field instead of hard panning. If you were to see this band or this artist live, they're not going to be lined up down the middle with each other. They're going to be having their own space on the stage, and everything is going to kind of have its own place as well. I'll take you into this section where like the distorted guitars and everything kind of comes in together. Another thing I will do as well is to kind of, have contrast. So there's this section here where this solo comes in. Very bright. For this part, we wanted it to be very bright in your face, like it just feels more aggressive. So what I did though is for the distorted guitars, I have another utility plugin. So when the solo comes in, I wanted to dip the distorted guitars to make some space. So that way everything is just not clashing. You could hear the solo a lot better, but the distorted guitars are just tucked back just a tad bit. So that way they can, not fight for space in the mix. But yeah, that's pretty much how I went about the entire mix. If you are an artist or a band and you're looking to level up your music and take it to the next level, I'm more than happy to help you on your journey and bring your vision to life. You can go on over to kesleymusic.com or head on over to my Instagram or TikTok at Kesley Music. Shoot me a DM or head over to my website, fill out a form. I would be honored to help bring your vision to life. I appreciate you guys watching. Peace.